Hey everyone, here is another tactical idea with the pin being the main focus of our efforts. All right? And it is incorporating actually a few different ideas. Um, so we're going to run through this and just see what our possibilities are. Okay, so if you look at the position, the black king is very vulnerable. He is stuck on g7. It looks not stuck, but he's sitting on g7, and he is got his knight on f6 pinned to him by the queen on d4, and also the dark squared bishop of white is attacking the knight on f6. So that knight is pretty much like dead. We just want to try and now kill it, right? And some of the ideas with pin pieces are that you either pile up on pin pieces, or you can drag the defender away, or distract, or pull the defender of the particular piece away from the defense of the piece. So if you look here, black queen on d8 is also protecting that knight on f6. So you can't just take the bishop, or the take with the bishop, or with the queen, because the black queen would just take back, and you'd have a trade of pieces. And it would be, you'd be up the exchange, but there's more in this position actually. And just imagine, if you would, for a second, if that black queen was not protecting the knight for just a second. Just one move. Just one move. If you could play queen takes f6 check, and then king has to go back to g8. It's the only square he can go to, because the h7 square is blocked by his own pawn, right? And then bishop to h6, and you are threatening checkmate on g7. So that's pretty powerful. That looks like a pretty good maneuver to me. The only problem is how to get that queen away from the protection of the knight. So there's a very, very powerful move here that we call a distraction sacrifice. All right, and this sacrifice usually can't be refused, and even if it is refused, it's just usually worse for your opponent. Right, and so do you see, or can you, maybe you want to pause the video, not sure, any way that we can attack the black queen, right, and get him to move away from the protection of that knight on f6? Well, yeah, it's a crazy looking move, but there is a move, and you can play this rook on e1 all the way up to e8 and attack that queen. And that knight cannot take that rook because he is pinned, right? And that queen cannot play to e7 or to any other square to keep protecting that knight on f6. And so he either moves out of the way, or he accepts the sacrifice. So he wants to accept the sacrifice, usually because you want to keep pieces around your king when you're being attacked, right? So let's look at the position. If we play rook to e8, and this queen takes on e8, and then we play queen takes f6 check, king to g8 is the only legal move, and then bishop to h6, threatening queen g7 checkmate. There's not many moves black can make. He must protect against the checkmate, but there's actually a more sinister threat, is there's actually two checkmates that black must contend with. And he can't just leisurely play queen c7 or queen off the back rank at all, to be honest with you, because he falls into a checkmating pattern. And actually, believe it or not, this is a forced win by checkmate, even though it's not necessarily going to be listed as a checkmating pattern. It is the use of the pin and the distraction sacrifice. So we will play the maneuvers, right? Queen takes, and now here, if we play bishop h6, we are not only threatening the queen to g7 checkmate, we are also threatening queen to f8 checkmate. And now black has a very, very, very serious problem, because he can't just leisurely play queen to e7, because checkmate, right? Or anywhere, really. You can't play queen to g6 because checkmate, right? His best move or try is queen to f7. But unfortunately, after this move, he still falls to a back rank mate. His queen is trying to protect both checkmates, and he does, queen f7. And you can neither play queen f8 or queen g7 check. But he did leave one weakness with his last move, and that is the back rank. And as you can see, the bishop is still on the back rank, the rook is still on the back rank, but there's nothing back there that is preventing the queen from giving check. And because because after you give check, the king has nowhere to go, because the queen had to play queen f7 to prevent the double checkmate threat on g7 and f8. He has now left himself open to what we call the vulnerable first rank, or the 8th rank. And this is another idea with checkmating patterns, is setting up the checkmate and then looking for the holes that your opponent makes when they try to protect against it, and all the different various options or threats that you can make afterwards. And being able to see this last one is key to the entire combination. Right? So let's look at this from the beginning. All right, real quick. Rook to e8, queen takes e8, queen takes f6 check. Only legal move for black's king is king g8. Bishop h6 with the double threat of checkmate on g7 and f8. Queen only move to protect against the double check mate threat there is queen to f7. And because he has left the back rank, we are now able to give check there. Bam. And we are now able to give check. And as such, the king has nowhere to go. His only escape square has been covered by his queen, protecting against the checkmate on g7 and f8. And because that, it has allowed us to give another check, and the only blocking maneuver now is to sacrifice his queen, allowing us to give checkmate. All right, guys, I hope you got something out of that. Real quick, we'll run over the ideas. All right, so it is distraction and pulling. You're pulling up the opponent's piece away. All right, attacking, setting up the checkmating patterns. All right, and then protecting. And now, an idea that we will come across often is the vulnerable first rank, and all from that one particular pin back here. We distract the queen, pull it away, which allows us to infiltrate, and our pieces are deadly, especially with the back rank being unprotected. Yeah. So I hope you guys learned something from that, and right. Hope you enjoyed. All right. Bye.